Welcome to part 5 of our top 50 board games of all time. I'm Mark Maya, and this is Board Game Coffee. Alright, now if you've watched our other videos, you know that this top 50 of all time is very loosey. It's the top 50 that we've played of all our time, and they're all great. But now, if you've sat with us through part 1, 2, 3, and 4, this is the final part. Part 5, the final, the top 10, the cream of the crop according to Board Game Coffee. Let's check out number 10. Legendary, aka Marvel Legendary. This is the game that started me on this path of just board game enjoyment. It is a deck builder though, so it's not, I guess, technically a board game, it's a card game, but it's oh so good. This is probably my favorite superhero deck builder, Marvel Legendary. Now a lot of people are going to say, what about Marvel Champions? Marvel Champions is a great game, it's on the list, it's excellent. But this one is what started off for me, so it's got a personal, it's in there, it's deep, it's in the heart, it is part of me. I don't think there's a game in my collection that I've played more than Legendary. And there's so many expansions available for it. I've been playing this thing to death. And I love how the scenarios are just randomly generated. Yeah, sure, you get some crazy things, especially when you start mixing in the expansions, because then you get scenarios like Galactus is robbing a bank and you gotta stop him. Why? Who knows? Doesn't matter. It's a good time. That's what matters. It's cooperative until it's not. But for the majority, it's cooperative. Everybody starts with their basic deck of cards, and you start with, I think it's 5 cards, 6 cards, don't remember, I think it's 5. So you pick up your 5 cards, and then you have to spend them to buy other cards. Typical deck building mechanic, right? But the cards you're buying are superheroes, and they have different abilities. And some of these abilities will trigger other abilities on other cards. So if you can chain these abilities to get a bigger effect, that's excellent. So to the basics, at the most basic level, you've got cards that generate a currency that allow you to buy more cards, or cards that do damage, which allow you to take out the enemy. Now how it works is there's this track in the center of the board, where your enemies jump off their deck, and they kind of move along this track. And if they reach the end and they escape, something bad usually happens. So you've got to stop them before they escape, before they pull off their scheme, because there's random schemes. My favorite part of this is you take a random enemy. There's a random scheme, and then random heroes. You combine them all, and that's your story. That's the story that it paints for you. And the way I like to play this is if you make a mistake, this is assuming you know how to play, if you make a mistake, you live with your mistakes, because in the real world, if heroes make mistakes, people die. And that's how I like to play it. It's so good. Now, what I meant about it being cooperative until it's not is you are playing cooperatively because you have to work together to finish the mission. But at the end, there's this score mechanism where you kind of tally up how much better you did than the other player. Now, everybody won, but you're the better winner if you get the better score. Now, if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. That's kind of like a side thing. You don't really need to do that. You could just keep it all cooperative and then screw the score at the end. We don't. We like to rub it in each other's face. It's like you're okay, but I'm better. If you like Marvel, you like deck building games, you gotta try this. Start here. If you like it, then try some of the expansions. All the expansions are not created equal. And I'll give you this. Once you start really getting into it, you can mix all the expansions together. But if you do it all randomly, some expansions have mechanisms that are so specific to that expansion that if you dilute it with sets that don't use that expansion, then you really don't get the benefits or don't really feel the benefit of that new mechanic. So like Guardians of the Galaxy, great expansion, try to keep it to the Guardians of the Galaxy crew because it works really well like that. We'll be playing this game forever. At number 9, we've got Gaia Project. This game is just fantastic. Now, I've never played Terra Mystica because this is Gaia Project, a Terra Mystica game. And before I go any further, if you guys want to know what a full review of this. We actually put out a review video for Gaia Project 2, not 2 as well. So you can check that out. It's on our channel. But Gaia Project is just great. It's a game that will kind of tie your brain in knots, and then it's like those knots that you get in your shoelace. You can't quite get out. So you just live with it. You live with the fact that your brain might be broken permanently after you play this. And here's the thing. It's a great game. There's got so many mechanics, but to really win, to really understand how to play, you kind of got to plan ahead, right? You got to be like, okay, I'm going to move over there. I'm going to, claim this area, and then I'm going to generate these resources. I'm going to spend those resources on that thing so I can do this and that. Okay, good. There's a chain of like 6, 7 things I got to do to make this one thing that I really want to do happen. And then you listen or you watch everybody around the table do that same thing. By the time it gets to you, you have no idea what your plan was. It just leaves you. You get lost in this. It's like being in a corn maze and you just can't find your way out. You're like, I swear the turn I had to make was over there. It's like you went into the corn maze and somebody gave you directions. You were the one that gave yourself directions. You went in and you knew you had to make a left, a right, a right, a right, a left, and then go straight. By the time it came to you, you're halfway down to the corn maze. You don't remember which way you had to go, and you're screwed. So you got to figure it all over again. But it's so good. It's so fantastic. There's so many different races, and each race plays completely different. It's one of those games where you have a tableau, and it's got all these buildings on the tableau that you put out into the universe on these planets that you're colonizing. And every time you take one off your tableau, you reveal either additional resources or abilities that you can do now with your race. So the more you get off your card, the better. But sometimes, to improve, you have to put some things back on your card, so you cover certain abilities up again to get other buildings that are bigger, that uncover bigger abilities. And it's just so different. Every time you play, you're going to want to play with a new race of aliens or humans, whoever you're playing with. You want to play with them because you want to try all the different ways to play. And every race is like a completely different way to play. So it's so interesting when you're playing on a table full of people and you're just watching how they make their race work, and it's amazing. You might think that's a huge advantage being able to do that. But then sometimes you can't see the advantage you got, because the way this game works, what it does, it messes with your brain. You always think the person across the table from you has got it better than you do. Damn it, how did they generate so many resources? They're looking at you like, damn it, how does they go up that track so fast? That's how it goes. You're jealous of the other people. The grass is always greener on the other side. It's a brain burner, that's for sure. It's competitive, and it's fantastic. If you're up for like a heavier, competitive, brain burny type of experience, check out Gaia Project. So worth it. In 8th place, we have Claustrophobia 1643. Now this is an adventure game where one player controls the heroes. An adventure campaign game where you have a mission. One player controls the heroes. 4 heroes, and the other player, it's a 2-player game, the other player controls all the minions, right? They control all the evil that you're facing. What's great about it is the way they play, the way they control their minions is completely different of how you control your heroes. And it's great. I've never actually played the villain. I've always played the heroes. Actually, it's got a personal... Chris, if you're watching, Chris, our third from Board Game Coffee, who's currently in quarantine and can't be here with us. I find there's a special place in my heart for me and Chris. We've shared moments. Actually, we did a review for Claustrophobia. So good. You know what? Come to think of it, I don't know if we gave it a 4 or a 5, but this game deserves a 5. Like, it's one of those, you sit back and you think about it. So good. Because as the hero, I'm trying to accomplish my mission, and Chris, as the villain, he's trying to either stop us or achieve his goals, whatever it is. If you want a great experience, competitive experience, where you and a buddy or you and your significant other play across the table from each other, one fighting for evil and one fighting for the side of good, this is what you need. And the art, look at the art on this. The art on this box is fantastic. Oh, it might be a Kickstarter exclusive. That would be a bummer. If it is, I think it is. Check out. You can get some aftermarket copies of this. It's really good. It's really good. Mind you, I don't know why anybody would want to get rid of their copy. It's so good. Rising Sun in 7th place. This is the game that launched Board Game Coffee. You see, this was our first Kickstarter that came in, and we did a spontaneous unboxing. You can check it out on our channel. It is, oddly enough, it's like a 9-minute unboxing. If we were to unbox the all-in package now, it'd be probably like a 2-hour video. It's a little rough, but it was our first video. I remember we filmed it, edited, and uploaded it all from our phone. It was good memories, so I have good memories there. But memories aside, Rising Sun is a top-notch game. This is a game where everybody takes on their own clan, and you also recruit these ancient gods, and they all have different powers. Oh, and each clan also has their own powers. Like certain clans can fly wherever they want. Other clans, I don't remember what they all do. I'm drawing a blank. What I do remember is that there's so much variety in this little box. It's so much fun. We do have a review for this on our channel as well, which I think was our first review, actually. Our first board game review was for Rising Sun. And we loved it then and we love it now. It's so good. The whole thing where you have a stack of, I think they're laws. I believe they're called laws. I might be off on the terminology. Oh, we also have a how to play. But I might be off on the terminology. It goes around the table, and then you pick one, and then it's the I lead, you follow mechanic, or I pick something and I gain a benefit, and then everybody else goes and they get a benefit from it, and then you move the laws on, and another person passes another law, and it keeps going around like that. And you try to position yourself on the map to try to gain power and set yourself up for war, where you earn these coins. They're little coins. I think they were influence. I can't remember what the coins, or military power. I can't remember what they represent. But you gather them, and then there's this blind bidding thing where you bid on the actions you want to take for your battle, and then everybody reveals at once, and the person who bid the most on that action gets to do that action. That's just the combat section, because it's broken up into there's a tea ceremony, and that's where you can negotiate and make alliances with other people at the table, which is awesome. And I think it works best when there's an odd number, so 3 or 5 players, because it's always fun when that one person's out, right? That one person is the wild card, and there's that betrayer card in there where you can just stab your partner in the back. And if you are before you do the stabbing in the back, if you are partners with them, you benefit from the choices they make more so than if you weren't a partner with them. You have a stage where you're buying powers that increase what your army can do, and all the gods have special powers, the armies have special powers, different combinations of them work differently. There's so much fun, so much strategy, so much game to be had in this. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful game to look at. It's a beautiful game to play. Everything is just so smooth. It's by far one of my all-time favorites. It's so good. Just wow. Well done. This is from Come On, and Eric M. Lang, designer, knocked it out of the park with this one. Bravo. And Stonemaier Games does it again, bringing us Viticulture for our number 6. This is the Essential Edition. Now, Viticulture, another game where this box art, it doesn't scream, Mark, play me. You gotta play this, because, she's holding grapes, he's checking out her hair, they got a thing, there's a vineyard. It's not really my thing. I don't really care for vineyards. I don't mind drinking wine, but I don't care for growing grapes. So when I bought this game, it was on word of mouth alone, and I bought it and it was sitting at home for a while. So then I played it, and I loved it right away. It's a worker placement game where, you're running a vineyard and you're trying to out-vineyard the other people, right? You're growing grapes, you're using those grapes to make wine, you're aging that wine to fill orders and get points. And then there's guests, there's these little guest cards that you get, and they give you special abilities. So good. It's so good. I love this game instantly. But here's the thing. Viticulture is our number 6. Not on its own, though. Not on its own. On its own, I don't think it'd make number 6. Why? Because after 4 or 5 playthroughs, I felt I've seen it all. I'm kind of done. Viticulture with the Tuscany expansion. Oh, it's needed. That's the real Essential Edition. You need Viticulture with the Tuscany expansion. that makes it so good. It gives you so much more gameplay. You get a new board, extended board with some new mechanics in there. And once that was introduced, it breathed new life into the game, and I love it. I'll never play it without the Tuscany expansion. So number 6 is actually Viticulture with the Tuscany expansion. A must-have. Just pick them both up at the same time. Play this by itself first, get a feel for the grapes, making the wine, because that's how you make grapes. And then you're pouring the wine, you're filling the orders, and then once you're comfortable, then throw in Tuscany, and then you'll never go back to vanilla Viticulture. It's such a great worker placement game, and it makes it even better because I crush Britt and Chris at this, like, just constantly. It's so good. Number 5, Gamelin Games returns with my all-time favorite Tiny Epic game, and that is Tiny Epic Galaxies. This thing is Scott Olm's masterpiece. I love Tiny Epic Galaxies. One thing you need to know is the games all share that Tiny Epic title. They all have a similar, or the exact same sized box, but they're all completely different games. They're not expansions to each other, they're standalone games, and Tiny Epic Galaxies is like a resource management game where you're launching ships to colonize planets or orbit planets, and you're spending your resources. Oh, and it's got a dice rolling, like, Yahtzee mechanic, which is so great. And what's good about it is I've played other games with like that dice rolling Yahtzee mechanic, and if you get a bum roll, well, you're just out of luck. But Tiny Epic's got this mechanism where you can take 2 and you can sacrifice those 2 to get 1 die of any type you want, which is good. Like, you can just turn any die to the face you need. Functions are, there's culture, which allows you to follow other people's actions. There's energy, what allows you to do your own actions. There's so much gameplay in this little box, and there's so many planets, and planets are cards, and there's just a stack of them in there, and each of them have different abilities. And great thing is, when you colonize a planet, you take that planet and you bring it over to your side, to your tableau, and then it's an ability that only you have access to. Well, there are cards that your opponent can have that steal access to your abilities, and it's just so good. And Brittany's never beat me. A little fun fact I like to throw in there every time this game comes up. And Gamelin, that's like the 3rd Gamelin game in our top 50. And it's a good spread. They've done well. Gamelin, if you're watching, you've done well. Pandemic at number 4. This game is a masterpiece. I can't get enough of it. Pandemic is a game where these diseases are spreading around cities all around the world, and you play specialists like a scientist or a medic or I can't remember what construction worker. I can't remember all the titles, but there's all these characters that you get to play with, and each of them have their own special abilities to help you deal with this disease or multiple diseases that are spreading all around the globe, and you're flying around, taking chartered flights or walking over there. I don't know exactly how your little guys are getting over there, but you're getting around, you're trying to put out these diseases, like putting out fires, and you're trying to manage the spread and mitigate how much damage is being done. And then there's so many ways to lose in this. I've played this game till like 5-6 o'clock in the morning. We've spent all night playing this. It's so good. It's such a great cooperative game, and with the right people, so much fun. It's so good and intense, and you really feel that race, that surge of like tension, because this disease is just getting out of control, and you and your team have got to put a stop to it. But how are you going to put a stop to it? Are you going to be able to do it? And then you do, and it feels so good. This is a must-have in anybody's collection. When we're starting to get these low single-digit numbers, these are all must-have. But Pandemic is so good. Look, all these awards. Look at all these awards down here. It's earned every single one of them. Every single one of them. This game is just it's perfect. It's so good. I can't recommend this game enough. Bam! And Android Netrunner, another amazing card game designed by Richard Garfield. He is all over this top 50 list. Mr. Garfield, you are on the ball. You are a true master of the card game. Now, Netrunner is living card game, so you go in with your decks already pre-made, and there's certain rules, you can tweak them. You don't fully customize them. You kind of choose the factions or the characters you want to play with, the corporations you want to play with, and then you can tweak those decks a bit. And there's some rules in the rule books. Personally, I like just playing with the default decks that come built in here. Now, the reason I don't play this game as much anymore is because I've tried my hand at making decks, and that was a disaster. So now I need to find a list online somewhere that tells me how to put those cards back where they belong. One player plays these corporations trying to pull off their evil, corrupt agendas, whatever it is. And the other player plays a hacker, and they're trying to break through the corporation's firewalls and like hack into their systems and gather information and put a stop to their evil plans. The way the hackers play is completely different from how the corporations play. The corporation's job is to protect their computer systems. So we have to stop the hackers from breaking in. So we put all this, if I remember correct, it's called ICE, and you put all these protective bits. If I'm not, don't kill me. You put all these defensive cards in front of your different silos that you're trying to protect, and the hackers are trying to get through them, and they're using their rigs to play cards and get through and see if they can find some information, the information that you're hiding, and put a stop to your evil plans. It's so good. It's so thematically fitting. When I'm playing the hacker, I feel like the hacker cracking into the evil corporation. When I play the corporation, I definitely feel like I'm this big money grubbing corporation trying to stop these dirty little hackers from ruining my plans to make millions of dollars. And artwork is on point. So good. Netrunner is a great living card game. Possibly the best of the living card games. I can't get enough of this game. It's so good. I just gotta fix the mess I made with the cards in here so I can play it again. Number 2. We are down to the last 2. What could number 1 be? What could number 2 be? There's no box. Why isn't there a box? Well, let me tell you. Because number 2 is Magic the Gathering. I love Magic the Gathering. Now, the reason there's no box for Magic the Gathering, because if you know Magic... Oh, by the way, another Richard Garfield game. That guy's just... If it's a card game and it's got his name on it, just get it. It's always gold. Done great. Maybe there's a game out there that's not gold. I don't know, but it's just all the ones I've played, he's nailed it every time. Now, Magic the Gathering, there's no box, because if you know Magic, there's just so much. I don't even know what I'd show. I have no idea which box, which set would I show. Not the latest, because you know what? I had to stop playing Magic. Why? Because it's too good. It's too good I had to stop. Because Magic to me became an addiction. I'd spend all day making decks, perfecting combos, playing with friends, doing it again, making decks. I had like 36 decks on the go. Why? Because I had thousands and thousands of dollars worth of cards. There's so much. It's such a great game. It's so fun to buy packs, see what you get, and then build cards with those and go out and trade or custom buy. And to customizing your decks, you could spend, it's just as fun to research and customize and make combos and perfect your decks as it is playing them and going to your friends who are doing the exact same thing, and you try to go head to head. And that's the thing. Magic is a game that you could play head to head. It's a game you could play with 4 or 5, 6 people. You can get very creative in how you play. You can do a round robin system where you only attack the person to your left or to the right, or it's a free for all. We can attack whoever. There's all kinds of ways you could play this. It's complex. Yes, it is complex. The best way to learn Magic is to have somebody teach you how to play Magic. And once you get it, you got it. You got it. But it's a slippery slope. Once you get in, it'll suck you in. Like, I stopped not because I didn't like it. I stopped because I had to continue with my life. I had to do other things. My life was Magic. That's all I was doing. It was so good. Because yeah, if you don't know what Magic is, basically there's like 5 different colors, schools of Magic. You build these custom deck of cards, and you're basically putting the deck you custom build and play it against somebody else. That's the basics. You're casting creatures, you're casting spells, you're trying to do damage, trying to do enough damage to your opponent to kill them, to take them out of the picture. And there's just so many ways to do that. So many ways. It is a rabbit hole that you'll just love tumbling into. Just talking about it makes me want to just dig out my cart, but I can't do it because I have an issue. Magic the Gathering is so good, and there's so many starter decks and digital versions of it that you can get into. Try it out. There's free digital versions that you can get into. Go to your local board game store. Oh, not now. If we're currently in quarantine. If you're watching this during quarantine, don't go out now. But you can play digital versions online. It's such a varied game. It's the game that keeps on giving, and it's always awesome. Now, our number one of our top 50 board games. It's coming. You want to know what it is? Terraforming Mars. Now, Terraforming Mars. This box is heavier than it should be. Why? Because I have all the expansions in there. I've gotten really creative with my stacking, and they're all in there, so this thing is heavier than bricks. Now, Terraforming Mars is a game about terraforming Mars, and it's put out by Stronghold Games. And I could just play this game forever. Now, fun fact, I've played this game with Chris and Brittany the most. They have never, ever beat me. And just to testament of how, not that I've never lost, I have, but never to them. Now, here's the thing. This game is so good, just a testament of how good this game is. They never win. They always lose. But yet, both of them, Chris and Brittany, keep wanting to come back to play more. What does that tell you? And I have all the expansions, and I like almost all of them, but you don't, this isn't a number one place because of this and the expansions. Just the core has earned it on its own. You're trying to terraform Mars, placing tiles on the surface of the planet, and you're growing forests, you're building cities, you're planting oceans. I'm not sure what the proper terminology would be for that, but let's go with planting oceans. You're trying to basically manage your resources. You try to get as many resources as you want so you can use them to do different things and play different cards. And there's so much. There's so much goodness. I don't even know where to start. It's not the most brain-burning game I've played by far, but it is a great challenge. It's not necessarily for newcomers, but if you're a newcomer that feels confident in your learning gaming prowess, then it could be. It could be. I've never had a bad time with Terraforming Mars. And the reason it's our number one is because me and Brittany as a couple, we love this game. And then you had Chris in there. We are a little throuple. All three of us love this game. And it's actually, we'll put it right now. We took it to our wedding. It's in our wedding photos. That's how much we like it. The whole buying cards, laying cards in front of me, and building that engine, and when it just hums, when it works, so satisfying. This game is so worthy, and I'm so happy to have this in number one. I can play this anytime. Well, I gotta let Brittany cool off a bit. She gets a little angry when she loses, but I can play this any time. My top one recommendation for a board game that you need to have is Terraforming Mars. Another game where it didn't look very pretty here. You know, I look at that and I was like, meh, kind of looks boring. But it's not. It's the most deceiving box art ever. This is my favorite game of all time. I love Terraforming Mars. And I'm pretty sure if you try it, you'll love it too. So good. Thank you for joining us on our journey through this top 50. And like I said, there are more games. These are the top 50 games that we've played. So yeah, I'm sure there's other games that you're thinking, why isn't that on your list? Is because I haven't played them yet. People are going to ask, why isn't Gloomhaven on your list? I have played it, but I haven't played it in like a campaign mode, so I haven't played enough to really place it on the list yet. But next time, possibly, because we're going to do more lists like this. And that's one thing you got to know is they're all good. It doesn't really matter where they land on the list. If anything matters, it's the top 10 matter the most because those are like the must-gets. But if you get anything on that list, they're all great. The top 50 are all just great. And there's so many more games we've played that, yeah, they didn't make it on the list. Why? I don't know, because I had to pick 50. And you know, I'm sure there's something that I forgot that I'll look back and be like, bah, that could have easily been on the top 50 list. But what would you have pushed out? Another awesome game? Like, they're so good. So anyways, if you're looking for ideas for games, check out the other videos if this is the only one you've seen, or if you've seen them all. There's tons of great ideas in here, and you might have played them all already. Why? Because they're that awesome. So that's it. Thanks for joining us on our top 50 countdown. We'll be doing more. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was informative, and I hope you stay safe and have a good time playing games with people that matter to you. Your important people, your gamer people, the people you keep in here. See ya. Thanks for joining us. If you like this video and you want to see more, subscribe to our channel. It's the best way to keep up to date with everything we do here at Board Game Coffee. But if you want to see more right now, we got plenty of videos to choose from. And if that's not enough, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm Mark Maya, and this is Board Game Coffee. And remember, have fun, keep gaming, be social. See you next week.